So how do you buy a house in 2023? We're going to get into 3 steps that you can take to set yourself up to buy a house in 2023, even with these rising interest rates. I'm Jim with the Bishop team, bringing you information here about the real estate market in Southern California. So housing affordability, the ability of people making X amount of money to buy a house in this market, has been strained due to the rising interest rates, coupled with the run-up of housing prices. As a result, a lot of people have been priced out of the market. So if buyers were starting to look when interest rates were in the 3% range, they'd be looking at a house that they could afford. When interest rates doubled, their ability to buy that same house, even if prices had not gone up, was greatly diminished. So they've been sitting on the sidelines waiting to see what's going to happen. So today we're going to give you 3 steps that you can take to set yourself up, even in this environment, so you can actually buy a home. So one of the very first steps you need to take, unless you're an all-cash buyer, is to talk with a mortgage professional. It's extremely important for a couple of reasons. 1, you want to make sure that you are looking at homes that are in your budget. 2, you want to make sure that there aren't surprises on your credit report that's going to either prevent you from buying a house or cause you to pay a higher interest rate. 3, you want to be able to team up with a mortgage lender who is going to be able to actually close the deal. The last thing you want to do is to get into escrow to release your contingencies on your loan, and then they go, oops, I can't close the loan, and you kiss that money goodbye. One of the worst things that can happen in a transaction. It's really important not to do this after you saw a house that you fall in love with. You probably want to do this at least 6 months out from when you think you're going to be buying a house. That way, if there are credit issues, those can be addressed, because that does take time. If there are things that you need to pay down to get to a better interest rate, you have time to do that. If there's income that you have to verify, or if you have to file your taxes from the past, all those things can take time, so start sooner rather than later, and that's going to help you get on the road to success with less bumps. The worst case is you find out you're already in a position to buy, and now it takes you to the next step of working with an agent like us who's going to help identify the areas in the homes that work for you within your budget. One of the biggest things that we run into is that buyers sometimes think they have to put more money down than they have to. There are programs that are below the 20% threshold that some buyers think they have to achieve. With higher interest rates, however, that means your payment is going to be even higher than it was recently. One of the other benefits of talking to the right lender is that they're going to talk to you about different programs that might be appropriate for you. 30-year mortgage is definitely one, but there's 15-year mortgages, there are 20-year mortgages, there are 2-1 buy downs, there's 10-1 ARMs, 5-1, 7-1 ARMs. All these different programs. If you're a vet, you might be eligible for a VA loan, which can be as little as 0% down. FHA loans are an option if you don't have a lot of money to put down. You can get a 10% conventional loan, so you're not faced with PMI. They're going to tell you what is PMI, private mortgage insurance, also called MI, mortgage insurance. And for those of you that don't have a monthly budget, this will be a good exercise to go through and say, hey, what do I make? What do I spend? What do I have for housing? They're going to look at what's called a debt to income ratio, debt being car loans, student loans, housing expenses, to income, DTI, debt to income. Income is what you make. And for most loans, you're gonna, have to keep your debt to income ratios below, rough rule of thumb is 43%. Certain programs you can go up to 50% loan to income, and sometimes you have to go lower the other way. All of these are going to be part of the discussion with that lender so that you know your next steps on the financing of your new home. When you get to the end, you're going to have 2 things. You're going to have either what you qualify for and what you're comfortable for a budget. And sometimes people's budget is less than what they qualify for. There's like, oh, I can qualify for $6,000 a month, but I don't want to spend more than $5,000, and that's fine. And then sometimes like, well, I can afford $10,000 a month, but I can only qualify for $6,000. So then you got to look at, are there things that you can do that can help your qualification improve, or if you need to stick with that as your budget. So if your budget is less than what you'd like, then you're gonna have to look at less expensive homes. You might have to change the location, go to a less expensive area, smaller home, etc. And the flip side is sometimes buyers discover that they can, hey, get a little bit nicer home, a little bit bigger home, a little bit better location. All of those come out when you have this in-depth meeting with a lender. And sometimes a buyer comes up with, hey, I need to save another 5%, another $10,000. If you start earlier, you don't have to save all that money in that first month. You have 6 months to do it, 8 months, whatever it is. But that's where the budget comes in, and you can start being strategic in how your money is flowing in and out for that goal of buying a home. So a side question, why are interest rates important? Let's say interest rates are 7% for a good, well-qualified buyer. If you're gonna buy an $800,000 home with 20% down, it's $160,000, you're gonna have a loan for $640,000. At a 7% interest rate, your payment's gonna be about $4,250 per month for your principal and interest or your mortgage payment. If you have a lower credit score and you have to pay a higher interest rate as a result of it, let's say 8%, now your same mortgage payment, same purchase price, $800,000, same loan, $640,000, but at 8%, now you're paying $4,700 a month instead of $4,250. That's about $450 more per month, or 10% higher for the same house, same loan, just because of your interest rate being higher. So for some buyers now, it makes sense to pay off some debt to improve your credit score. Make sure you're always making your payments on time, because that's a critical one. But sometimes if you pay down the balance, it can change your ratios, and again, the lender's gonna go all into that. But if you can save 10% a month, it might be worth it for you. Another thing that you'll look at when you're going through your credit score is your balance. Let's say on a credit card you have a $10,000 credit limit and your balance is $8,000, that's 80%. That can lower your credit score, because the credit bureaus are looking, oh, you're maximizing how much credit you're taking. We're gonna penalize them for that. And sometimes you're gonna get dinged if it's more than 50%. So on a $10,000 credit card, if you have more than $5,000, then that can affect your overall credit rating. So sometimes it's strategic to pay your monthly bills, lower that credit outstanding, and then run your credit report. Talk to the lender about that strategy, but that's one way to make sure that they're looking at the best possible picture of your credit situation. Now, some people, they'll actually call the credit card company and say, hey, can you raise my limit? Instead of the $10,000 limit on the card, if it was 20 and you still have that $8,000 balance, now you're below the 50% rate. So that would raise your credit limit. Don't go spending that extra money on your credit card. Not suggesting that, but that's a strategy that some clients have used. And back to the, paying down your outstanding existing debts. Sometimes that's cheaper than putting more money down on the home. Remember that higher interest rates cost you 10%, $450 a month. If you could, over the next couple of months, pay down some of your cards or outstanding debt, that same amount, short term, it'll save you over the long term of a 30-year mortgage by lowering what you're paying there. Now, if you don't have a lot of credit, people that maybe for whatever reason don't have credit in their own name, sometimes they'll get on as an authorized user on, say, a parent's card or a spouse's card or a friend's card if they're really good friends, and then you will inherit all of their old credit history, assuming it's good. And that can be another way to increase the credit that you have if you're new to the credit scene. Again, all of these things are conversations you need to have with the lender so that you are doing the strategy that works for you. These are just ideas to discuss with them, not advice. So if you find yourself needing to reduce your outstanding debt, there's a couple ways to do it. The Dave Ramsey snowball approach is where you write down all your outstanding balances, you pick the smallest one, you pay that off, and then whatever you're paying for that, you apply to the next one. Once you pay that off, you apply that to the next one. It kind of has a snowball effect where you can have a strategy for attacking those outstanding balances and paying them off. Another strategy is to take the one with the highest interest rate and pay that off first, and then go and attack the next highest as well. The advantage of that is then you are reducing the interest that the bank is charging you, and you can accelerate that way. Another strategy that some people use is to consolidate debts. If you have a 20% and a 15% and a 10% loan out there, and you can consolidate it in, say, an 8% loan, again, the amount of money that the bank's taking you for interest is going to be reduced, so you can pay those loans off quicker. Always remember to check on your student debt. If you have that, sometimes those can be consolidated as well, and help you get to where you want to be sooner rather than later. Please remember to like and subscribe so that you can get great home buying and home selling tips throughout the year when the videos come out. Appreciate all the love down there. And one thing to remember when you're going through the home buying process, major purchases, whether you're in escrow or getting ready to write an offer on a home, is big purchases can have a big impact on your credit, especially if you're in escrow and you're close to those debt to income ratios. Don't go order all your appliances on your credit card. Don't buy a new car. Don't book that European vacation that's gonna, max out your credit cards, because that can actually kick you out of the transaction and make your life not so fun. One thing to keep in mind is when you are talking to a lender, at some point they are going to need to run your credit score. The ding that you get for running your credit score is not permanent. It's going to be on there for a couple of months. But within a couple of weeks of running it, you can actually run it with more than one lender, and it all counts as one inquiry, so that you've already talked to a lender, but you find, say, one of our lenders can do a better job, give you a better rate, give you better service. Don't be afraid of having them look at your credit unless you have that credit report to provide them. But at some point they are going to need to do that. But if you do it within the couple of weeks, then it doesn't hurt you from a credit score standpoint. So that touches on some of the things that you need to know to look forward and plan for buying a house in 2023. Give us a call sooner rather than later. We'd like to connect you with a great lender who can help you through this process, educate you on what you need to know, and then partner with us to help you find that home. I'm Jim with the Bishop team. We're helping you make the right move in Orange County real estate, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services.